Of course, we had some fun yesterday with Thunderbirds and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, but the Tories had their own version of Keir Starmer's Christmas lights countdown. Have a look.
Please join me when I say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yay! It worked! Nervous moment there, but it's all good.
It's actually not all good. I mean, even his words are prophetic, aren't they?
Funny.
You know, it's not all good. It's all bad, actually. The whole government situation is all bad.
But that's why we're laughing, Mike, because it's really appalling. I mean, I think many of us are really, really shocked and sad at what they've managed to do in 4 or 5 months in this country. And by the way, James has a second career. I don't know what he does, but he has a second career as a Starmer impersonator. That was very, very good.
He really does.
A voiceover. You have a voiceover career, mate.
Yeah.
But,
I think so many people now have joined in now and just making fun of him. And there's nothing worse than being a politician who's ridiculed by the people of this country.
Is it getting to him? Is it affecting him at all? Is this, you know, the fact that there's over 3 million, I know that the petition's going to do nothing, but over 3 million, is any of this actually kind of reaching him?
Oh, it will be. I think it will be, because I think he thinks of himself as this, you know, man who's involved in government of service, and he's meant to be sort of doing the right thing all the time. He clearly doesn't know what the right thing is. He just thinks that he does, as illustrated by the fact that he thought it was a good idea to take a load of free suits and glasses from Lord Ali. And he thought it was a great idea to get his wife kitted out by Lord Ali's money as well. I mean, the man clearly just doesn't get it, doesn't understand what his job is meant to be, and I think he'd like to be popular. And most politicians do want to be popular, and he must hate the fact that people are just making fun of him.
I think you're right. I think we're just seeing another side to him, which is sort of this very, very strange man. He seems almost kind of inhuman. He doesn't seem to, I don't know, he doesn't seem to have a family life, doesn't seem to have any warmth, any empathy.
He doesn't
the
have
lies were never really cleared up. Where was he living? Who is he living with? What's going on? It's a very odd side of him that we've seen, and then really odd decisions. And now when we see things like, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, the Elgin marbles, you think, yeah, of course he'll give them away. Of course he'll destroy this country more and more. This exhaustion is setting in because we've got 4.5 more years of this, Mike.
Yeah, I don't think we've got 4.5. I don't think we've got 4.5 more years of him. I think he's gone before the end of next year. I keep saying it. I'm sure it will be proved correct. Let's look at the front page of The Sun. Wallace thrust a groin at my face on MasterChef, and the BBC edited it out. It seems to me now the BBC have got a new form of editing. Basically, edit out anything that might cause a problem, and which also could lead to some kind of legality issue in the future. This is a woman who appeared on the BBC cookery competition in 2009. Right, Emma Phillips-Jennings said that Wallace also made a crude sexual joke as well. She said, I was so shocked and no one said anything to him or pulled him up about it. He had no shame. And so the story moves on, as we all thought it probably would, to him inappropriately touching women.
Yeah, exactly. And there are a couple of sides to this. There's a sort of, you know, does it matter? There are big things going on in the world. He's clearly, it's under investigation, he clearly was known within the corporation as someone who was constantly in people's faces making inappropriate jokes. And the question is, I mean, quite apart from what he thought he was doing, because it's quite easy not to thrust your groin at people. It's quite easy not to make people feel...
You can go to work without taking all your clothes off and running around naked.
You don't need to take your clothes off. You don't need to make women feel that they're constantly being leered at and at risk of being groped. But the question really is, what on earth did the BBC think they were doing? Even in recent years, they've had quite a few of these kind of issues, scandals, in recent years. Why has action not been taken?
Well, it has been taken, and action's been taken to cover it up. That's the problem at the BBC, because they did it with Hugh Edwards, they did it with Jimmy Savile, and now they're doing it with this guy. And we're not saying that he's in the same bracket at all, but the fact remains that if you take a view that you edit out things from programmes because they're inappropriate, that's a cover-up.
If it's not appropriate for viewers to see, why is that appropriate for a presenter to be doing that to contestants?
Exactly
You know, he's clearly in a position of power. He's judging them. They need to be on his good side. All of that abuse of power stuff. No, it's absolutely... It's kind of baffling how the BBC, and they are clearly in a panic as well, because they were not going to pull the Christmas special. Now they are going to pull their Christmas special. so they don't know what to do. So, yeah, I mean, what a mess.
Exactly, it really is a mess. And then there's a good food show story as well at Birmingham's NEC, which happened in 2012. A MasterChef fan who attended that said that she recalled how the TV star told the female British Sign Language interpreter to sign everything he said before proceeding with his remarks, and he asked them to sign big boobs and sexy bum. I mean, it's all a bit infantile, and I'm not, you know, one of those people that thinks he should therefore be kind of, you know, consigned to the dustbin of history and never allowed to work ever again. However, I blame the BBC, because I think the BBC are the ones that massively at fault here.
Absolutely, yes, it's infantile. You know, it's not... like you, I don't like the whole cancel culture, people literally getting cancelled off from their careers and their life. I think it's pretty unlikely he will work again in television. But yeah, what with the BBC? I mean, they've had... It was over a catalogue... These instances were over the last 15 years, if not more. There was plenty of time for someone to look into these allegations, and it was known that he was...
Forget about looking into allegations, setting up inquiries. You just say, listen, mate...
Just stop.
Stop doing it.
Or you're not going to work.
You're out of a job.
Yeah.
Just tell him. Yeah. That's what most normal corporations would do.
That's what most normal workplaces would do, exactly.
Exactly right. Let's talk about porridge, junk food fast, because I know you're keen on talking about different
I feel very strongly about this nonsense from the government.
I'm not sure the junk food advertising ban is a good idea anyway, because, you know, people who eat a lot of junk food will continue to eat a lot of junk food, whether it's advertised. You know, there's a thing called, you know, food delivery that you can now get at the touch of a button, literally. But they've managed to capture quite a few of the wrong things in their sort of net for junk food. Somehow porridge has made it in.
Really, really the wrong thing. So this is the latest nanny state advice about not eating junk food, and we're not going to have any adverts on it. Well, firstly, children are not sort of getting obese because they're watching television after 9 p.m. or before 9 p.m. or whatever. Secondly, they're not including in their junk food bans garlic bread, whipped cream, sausage rolls, pasties, all of which are quite unhealthy. They are including porridge, muesli, granola, sweetened Greek yoghurt, burgers, fizzy drinks. Fine, fair enough.
How does that happen?
This is just ludicrous. Everybody knows there are things like scones, things like crumpets. There are healthy ways to have crumpets and scones if you don't load them up with the whipped cream.
With loads of butter.
Yeah. Right. If you don't, there are many forms of porridge, like oats. Oats and a bit of warm milk and a bit of honey. That's healthy.
Just ordinary
That's a healthy
porridge,
food. It's
so how has porridge ended up? So how has porridge ended up in the bad channel then?
Because there are these forms, these sort of ready, these pots of sweetened porridge. But the idea that you tell people things like porridge, things like breakfast cereal, are really, really, really unhealthy. Of course, if you have the stuff that's loaded up with sugar. But also, Mike, the thing they're missing is that there are reasons for obesity. The fact that children are indoors, addicted to screens, terrified to go out, probably, you know, high as a kite on all sorts of ADHD and all these kind of drugs. There are many ultra-processed foods. The fact that we buy stuff, I buy stuff, you don't know what's in it. Go after the big food manufacturers, sort out the stuff that's in it. The junk food, the Deliveroos, all of that. Teach children how to make healthy food, basics,
and of course
toast,
schools go on about
pasta,
it all the time. But
oats, porridge.
But if you take your child to a state school and you have a look at what they're giving them to eat, right? They're teaching them in the class to not eat junk food, and then they're going to the school canteen
and
they're having
what's in it.
Pizzas, burgers, fried chicken, chips, those horrible chocolate milk drinks which have got more calories in them than like a week's worth of spaghetti bolognese. And that's what they're selling them.
But really, the food manufacturers are really, really clever on this. They have the perfect balance of sugar and fat and salt. It doesn't satiate you, it doesn't make you feel full, it just makes you want more and more and more. We do have a nation that's addicted to this kind of junk, but we're not teaching. I mean, I look at your Twitter every evening and you're always cooking something fresh with chickpeas and this and that and the... That's called cooking. That's called actually using...
Teach them how to cook.
Actual ingredients, and children love that. But we can't be bothered. We don't have time in the curriculum, or we're too busy teaching them about how to be gay, or how to be gender neutral, how to be a girl when you're a boy, all of that stuff. So, you know,
it is mad.
This
but
is
of course, Starmer has clearly already had to come out and say, well, we didn't mean to include porridge. So I don't know why he got that so
He's embarrassing. He shouldn't even be talking about porridge.
I don't want to discourage people from eating porridge.
No, porridge is brilliant.
But why? And also, this idea that you can ban things online after 9 o'clock. Do they not understand how online works? You can actually go online 24 hours a day.
Time.
And it doesn't matter what they ban after 9 o'clock.
And do they really think that that's what children, that young people, that the rising levels of obesity are because of the television advertising after, you know, before 9 p.m?
Bizarre.
As if children watch television.
Shall we talk about South Korea?
Yes.
Something very strange happened in South Korea.
Well, you talk to me about it. I don't know what. I mean, really, what is going on? Does he know? Does the president know?
The president of South Korea, who up until now I wasn't really aware of particularly, because I've always thought of South Korea as a relatively stable country. In that region it supposedly is, right? But apparently it isn't. Yoon Suk Yeol is the name of the president. He delivered a surprise televised address that then plunged the country into complete chaos. He's apparently facing a few corruption accusations and charges, right? So he decided that the best thing to do would be to seize control of the parliament. But nobody wanted him to do it, so they all just stopped him doing it. And the army turned up, and all the MPs and a load of students got out and said, "Sorry, we're not allowing this to happen." So the coup failed. Completely failed. I mean, he sounds almost more useless than our glorious leader. Yeah, I mean, it says here attempts by security forces to block roads with tanks and buses did not deter crowds from forming around the building, nor did the helicopters circling above the city or the barrier formed by the riot police. And inside the Parliament building, individual MPs were firing fire extinguishers at soldiers who were armed with, like, proper machine guns. And the MPs rushed to the chamber for this early morning session. Good on them. Really, really exciting. Yeah. Really, and absolutely the right thing to do. But as you say, a completely failed coup. Yeah. So I don't know what happens now. I presume the president will have to step down, won't he? Yeah, I think he was a bit of a lame-duck president anyway. I think he was a bit of a busted flush. He was, and he was, he was facing these kind of, questions about corruption, and whether or not he was actually, doing things in power which he shouldn't have been doing. But yeah, I mean, he was blaming the North Koreans and a den of criminals within his own National Assembly, which he said had turned into a monster that destroys the liberal democratic system. But I mean, we don't, as I say, we don't talk about North or South Korea. Or South Korea very much, do we? But I suppose we might even hear from some experts this morning on South Korea to find out what happens now. But coming up, we're going to be talking about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, of course, because there's time to find out what's going on in the United States of America. For some reason, Joe Biden's disappeared off to Angola. And even he doesn't know what it is, or where it is, or why he's there. Let's get a voice note from James.
Good morning, Mike. Great show as always. Just regarding the work from home, what a load of tosh, isn't it? I leave my house about 2:30 in the morning, and I don't get back till about 6:30 at night. I do that about 6 days a week. I have Sundays off, but I don't ask for much. And these people that work from home, they've only got to work 5 days a week. Why can't they just do 9 to 5 like a normal person? I'm sick of it, Mike, as you probably gathered. Anyway, mate, keep up the great work. Great show as always.
Absolutely right. James, a pillar of the community, somebody who, like many people
working really hard.
Really early in the morning, working till, quite late in the afternoon or early into the evening, 6 days a week, making ends meet, trying to do the best they can, paying taxes. And these people who have got the luxury of being able to work on a laptop because they work for the civil service, and some private companies as well, are just taking the mickey, aren't they? They really, really are. And as you know, sorry, I cycle in, and I pass bus stops at 3, 4 in the morning, and you see people waiting for the bus. They're going to work, they're going to clean offices, they're going to actually earn a living for their families. And it's not only the working from home brigade who can't be bothered to go in, it's also the people who are arriving in this country and are being given benefits and housing and all of that, whereas people like James are actually working for it. I know, it is absolutely extraordinary. How about this from Claire? Let's pay the public non-profit making sector more money, shorten their hours and get them working from home, and instead let's make the private profit making sector pay extra taxes, ruin businesses, make people unemployed in the process. It doesn't make any sense, does it? It really doesn't. It's coming up to 6:32. Lots more coming up.